Assalamu alaikum. In today's lesson, we're going to focus on the word HAL. As we all know, that HAL is harful istifham, which means interrogative particle. An interrogative particle is put at the start of a sentence to make it a question, and that question is answered by the words yes and no. The reply will be either yes or no. There are two such particles in Arabic, Hamza and HAL. Both are used in the Quran as well as in the modern Arabic. However, Hamza is comparatively more common in use, since there are few situations where Hal is not used, but there are no such restrictions on Hamza, so it's comparatively more in use. In English, helping verbs are used to make such yes or no questions. For example, are you hungry? Is he all right? Do I look good? But in Arabic, there are separate words that are put at the beginning of the sentences to convert them into such questions. There are only two such words as we saw before, and Hamza and Hal. Now, before discussing those situations and sentences where Hal is not used, I'd like to mention here one more thing. There are different types of particles and prepositions used in Arabic. One of them are huruf al-atf, meaning conjunctions. For example, wa, fa, thumma, etc. When these words, huruf al-atf, are used with hal, they always appear before hal. But when they are used with hamza, they are preceded by it. For example, wahal, fahal, and awaman, afala, and athumma. So now we move on and go to the main part of today's lesson. There are four situations, or to be more precisely, there are four sentences, four types of sentences where hal is not used. First of all, hal is not used in negative sentences. You will not see hal in negative sentences, I mean in negation. For negative sentences, hamza is used. Hamza can be used in both types of sentences, whether it be affirmative, positive, or negative. For example, in the last verse of Surah Teen, Allah says, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. The translation is not Allah the best of judges. It's not Allah the best of judges. So it's a negative question. There are other examples of this kind present in the Quran where Hamza is used in the negative questions like ألست بربكم أفلا تعقلون ألا تتقون. So there are a lot of examples of these negative questions where Hamza is used and Hal is not. The second situation where Hal is not used is when a noun is followed by a verb. In such sentences, HAL is not used. For example, here are three sentences containing the word HAL. The first one is هل جلس أحمد? Did Ahmed sit? The second one says هل أحمد جالس? Is Ahmed sitting? And the last one is هل أحمد جلس? The first two examples are completely correct. The last one is not correct, since in this sentence a noun is being followed by a verb. So you will never see a sentence like this where hal is used. For example, in the Quran we have فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ, in which both are nouns, like the sentence we have here, the second one, هَلْ أَحْمَدُ جَالِسٌ. So these both are nouns. And in the first one, verb is followed by a noun, so these are acceptable. And in Surah Dahr, it says هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِّنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَذْكُورًا. There also hal precedes a verb, so that's correct, as we have in the first example. I hope that's clear. Now we move on to the third situation where hal is not used. Hal is not put at the start of conditional sentences. Jumla shartiyya, like the sentences starting with if and when. Let's have an example of a conditional sentence with translation. إن جاءني إن جاءني أساعده. If he comes to me, I will help him. So that's example of a conditional sentence, and a conditional sentence consists of two parts. First one is shart, and the second one is jawab shart. There are two clauses to this kind of sentence. First one is dependent and the other one is independent. So in these kinds of sentences, hal is not used. However, Hamza can be used in such sentences. For example, here's a verse from the Quran from Surah Safat. أَإِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَبْعُوثُونَ, can be translated as, when we die and become dust and bones, are we really going to be resurrected? As you can see, Hamza precedes the sentence, and the sentence is conditional. There are two parts, and you can see another Hamza before inna, and that's the fourth rule. Hal does not precede the word inna, although Hamza can. Here's another example from the Quran, and it's from Surah Yusuf. It's a part of a verse. Allah says, أَإِنَّكَ لَأَنْتَ يُوسُف? Are you really Yusuf? Or are you indeed Yusuf? Yusuf, the name Yusuf is translated Joseph in English, alayhi salam. So these are the full sentences where hal is not used, although Hamza can be used in these sentences. That's why it's more common in usage. As far as inna is concerned, that's a particle for emphasis. It's used to put more force in the sentence, to make the sentence more emphatic. So it's called harfu tawkid. Tawkid means emphasis. So at this point, I'll take your leave. Till next time, thank you very much for listening.